Hello, and welcome to Movies in Short. Today, I'll explain the film called Dark City. The film takes place in a dystopian society where the sun never rises and it is always night. Every night at precisely midnight, everyone in the world dies for 5 minutes and then awakens with no memory of what transpired. John Murdoch, the film's protagonist, awakens in a dark toilet, afraid, at the beginning. He has no memory of how he got there, what he was doing in the weeks prior, or even his own identity. After getting dressed, he investigates the area until he finds a briefcase bearing the initials KH on it. He discovers a greeting card from Shell Beach upon opening the envelope. Murdoch cannot recollect the location in its entirety, but he begins to recall bits of it. The bathroom telephone begins to ring at that moment, and he takes it up hesitantly. On the other side, a guy identifying himself as Dr. Schreiber informs Murdoch that his memory was wiped due to a faulty experiment and that men are now searching for him. This adds to Murdoch's existing perplexity. And before the doctor can say anything else, he hangs up the phone. Murdoch then continues to check out of the location, which is revealed to be a hotel. As he is leaving, he discovers the deformed corpse of a woman. Murdoch becomes horrified and dashes out of his room, where he finds 3 freakishly tall, pale-faced men approaching him. When he reaches the lobby, he observes that everyone, including a woman in the elevator, is asleep. It is almost as if they have lost all vitality. At that moment, the clock strikes 12, and everyone comes back to life. Murdoch thinks this quite odd, and he instantly departs the hotel. Following this, the men approach the hotel receptionist and inquire about Murdoch. When he fails to respond, they inject him with an unknown drug and execute him. A stage artist named Emma is approached by Dr. Schreiber, who requests that they meet immediately. Emma is revealed to be Murdoch's wife in this section. When the two meet, Dr. Schreiber reveals that Murdoch's memory has been completely erased and that he is being pursued by evildoers. Therefore, he requests that she notify him immediately if she encounters Murdoch. While confused, Emma concurs. In the subsequent scene, local police and Inspector Bumstead arrive at the hotel crime site and begin their investigation. It turns out that this is the 6th murder case in the past month, and they all have the same spiral sign. Since Murdoch had been residing there, Inspector Bumstead suspected him of committing the crime instantly. He then calls Emma to the police station and warns her that her husband is a wanted criminal who must be turned up. Meanwhile, Murdoch is fearful and disoriented as he wanders the city. As he approaches a location, he notices that his fingerprints are glowing and feels nervous. After some time, he finds himself in front of a Shell Beach advertisement board, the same one he discovered on the hotel suitcase's greeting card. Curious, he climbs the advertisement board, only to be faced by the 3 big men from before, who identify themselves as strangers. One of them attempts to use his talents to put Murdoch to sleep, but fails. This surprises the 3 strangers, but before they can realize it, Murdoch uses his telekinetic abilities to overpower them. Later, we are transported to the strangers' lair, which turns out to be an expansive underground complex. Everyone is shocked that Murdoch possesses telekinetic abilities similar to their own. Here, we learn that Murdoch participated in an experiment called imprinting, but he fled utilizing his abilities. Now, he is on the strangers' most wanted list. In contrast, when Emma arrives home from the police station, she discovers Murdoch waiting for her. Although he does not appear to recall her, he is aware of his address because it is printed on his business card. Emma attempts to ask Murdoch where he has been for the past 3 weeks, but he is unable to respond. Instead, he claims that he was unaware of his identity until he checked his wallet. During their conversation, Emma confesses that he has been suspected of murdering 6 women. This astonishes Murdoch, who departs the location quickly. The odd men gather in their hideout just before midnight for a meeting. Dr. Schreiber looks to be the head of their science department, as he is the only human among the participants. At precisely 12 p.m., Mr. Book, the leader of the strangers, emerges from the crowd and orders everyone to shut it down. As soon as he utters these words, the strangers enter a state of meditation, and the entire metropolis above stops. People fall asleep regardless of their location, trains come to a halt, and even all traffic ceases. Murdoch is the only one unaffected by the bizarre procedure, and he wanders the city in disbelief. He attempts to awaken some individuals, but to no avail. In the meantime, vast buildings and other infrastructures begin to emerge from the city's subterranean level, signifying a massive urban transformation. Then, the strangers and Dr. Schreiber travel to the city and initiate a tuning procedure. During this procedure, they approach a number of city residents and inject them with a syringe to erase their memories. After 5 minutes, when all the strangers have returned to the subway, the city returns to life and everyone awakens. This time, they have no memory of their previous existence and a brand new identity. For instance, someone who was a doctor 5 minutes ago may now be a serial killer. After the tuning, the strangers turn their attention back to Murdoch. Dr. Schreiber has prepared a syringe containing all of Murdoch's subconscious recollections because it is becoming difficult to capture him. Now, all he needs to do is inject it into someone, and Murdoch will be tracked immediately. Mr. Hand, a senior stranger, comes from the crowd and agrees to help as everyone stares at him in bewilderment. Mr. Book, the leader, provides the heads up, and Mr. Hand is shortly injected with the unusual liquid. After a period of convulsions, he awakens with all of Murdoch's memories. Murdoch reaches the subway in the following scene in quest of Shell Beach. Surprisingly, all of the people he asks for directions to the location have forgotten about it. Again perplexed, he examines the greeting card and notices the name Carl Harris inscribed on it. At the hotel, the initials of the same name were engraved on the suitcase. Murdoch later discovers Carl's address and visits his home. The elderly man recalls a time when Murdoch was a child, but, as expected, he cannot recall any of it. Then, he becomes interested and asks Carl why it is always dark, but Carl simply instructs him to relax. After Murdoch enters another room, Carl phones Emma in secret to inform her of Murdoch's arrival. Unfortunately, Mr. Hand, who has been tracing Emma through Murdoch's memories, overhears the entirety of her chat with Inspector Bumstead. When Murdoch discovers that Carl has divulged his whereabouts, he attempts to flee, but it is too late. The foreigners, led by Mr. Hand, have already arrived on the scene and have begun their assault on Murdoch. Murdoch, utilizing his incredibly complicated telekinetic abilities and his determination to live, continues to evade them. He manages to return to the streets, but is once more surrounded by strangers. Emma and the inspector come in their car just as he is going to be captured and take him away. The scene then shifts to the police station, where Inspector Bumstead continues to suspect Murdoch of being the murderer and is interrogating him. However, an irate Murdoch changes the subject by asking the inspector if he knows how to get to Shell Beach. As expected, Bumstead is familiar with the location, but he cannot recollect the directions. Murdoch then inquires as to why they always experience night and have no memory of the day. He uses the levitation of a book to demonstrate that they are dealing with something supernatural. After some while, Mr. Hand leads a group of strangers inside the police station in search of Murdoch. They put all of the officers to sleep before entering the cell. However, upon arrival, they discover that their intended target has already escaped. Murdoch confronts Dr. Schreber in a bathhouse and demands answers. He desires to know what is happening in the city and why strangers are pursuing him. The doctor calms him down and confesses that they are all participants in a huge experiment conducted by the strangers. Inspector Bumstead then arrives on the scene and seizes custody of the physician. In this section, it is revealed that the inspector himself released Murdoch from detention because he, too, seeks answers. The inspector and Murdoch then compel the physician to bring them to Shell Beach. They get in a car and begin their trek, but for some reason the doctor insists that going there is useless. Shortly thereafter, they encounter an impasse since a bridge has inexplicably vanished. Consequently, the three choose to proceed aboard a boat. During the journey, Dr. Schreber eventually explains all of the city's issues. He reveals that the strangers are extraterrestrials from another planet who came to Earth after nearly perishing. As soon as they observed the human population thriving, they resolved to copy them. The issue was, however, that they lacked souls, which is what distinguished them from humans. Intent on protecting their kind, the outsiders constructed an entire metropolis, kidnapped people from all over the world, and deposited them there. Every night at 12 o'clock, they stop everyone and implant new memories into their brains so they may compare the various human features. The objective is to understand every aspect of the human soul and emulate them. Dr. Schreber goes on to explain that because he is the best psychotherapist in town, strangers do not wipe his memories every night. Murdoch then inquires as to why it is always night, to which the doctor responds that the aliens' fear of light led them to construct a metropolis where it is always dark. They eventually arrive at Shell Beach and discover that it is only a poster on a wall. Murdoch and Inspector Bumstead, enraged, seize iron bars and begin beating the wall with them. The physician begs the pair to stop, but they refuse. Eventually, they breach the wall and are stunned to discover a limitless expanse on the other side. This proves that the city is really an experiment, from which there is no escape. Mr. Hand and his henchmen then come on the scene with Emma in captivity and threaten Murdoch to surrender. The inspector retaliates swiftly, but is flung into the abyss. Before passing away, he sees the city floating in space, surrounded by nothing but blackness. Here, we learn that this metropolis is actually a massive spaceship. Mr. Side, on the other hand, uses Emma as leverage and ultimately catches Murdoch. Murdoch is shown bound to a chair in the next scene as the entire alien community calls for his murder. However, its leader, Mr. Book, asserts he has alternative ideas. He requests that Dr. Schreber inject Murdoch with an imprint that will transfer his soul into all of the strangers. The doctor reluctantly agrees, but instead of an imprint, he injects Murdoch with another syringe with all of his memories. As soon as it is administered, all of Murdoch's memories flash before his eyes, and it is revealed that he was born in Shell Beach. Due to the recollections, he now comprehends the true nature of his power and grows significantly stronger. Dr. Schreber appears in one of the memories and instructs Murdoch to defeat the outsiders and seize control of the city. This gives him newfound hope and enables him to escape his captivity. He then begins to manipulate the strangers with his telekinetic abilities until Mr. Book approaches. Soon, the two begin to viciously attack one another, although they appear to be evenly matched. The entirety of the complex is destroyed by their conflict, so they continue in the air. Murdoch is victorious this time when he deflects Mr. Book's knife and tosses it back at him, killing him. After the victory, Murdoch approaches the doctor and inquires about Emma, but the doctor informs him that she lost her memory during the previous tuning. Murdoch is upset upon hearing this, but he has a plan to fix everything. Murdoch uses his superior telekinetic abilities to reconstruct the entire city in the final scene. He puts an ocean all around, repairs the bridges, makes Shell Beach, and most crucially, by rotating the spaceship, he restores the sun. The film concludes as Murdoch approaches an oceanfront pier where a freshly altered Emma is lounging in the sun. Subscribe for similar content, enable notifications, and like the video to help the channel. Thank you for watching.